welcome to Vibrational Manifestation. So today is a follow-up video. It's part 2 video to a previous video that I made titled Am I Really Infertile? Hopefully it can help someone. And what I've noticed is that there are a lot of people that are, really struggling, feeling as though, they are not able to feeling as though they're not able to conceive, and going through that process and what that process is like, and it having an effect on the relationship that they have with others, but also, and most importantly, the relationship that they have with themselves. And so I want to offer some information that has come to me, as I've sat down and meditated on this, and as I feel I've been called to, by the Most High to speak on this. And so the first tip that I want to be able to offer is, it's so important that, and I did address this in a previous video, but it's so important that we pay attention to our intuition, to our inner guidance, because that is how the Most High speaks to us. That is how we receive communication from the Most High and from our higher selves. And we have to be able to carve out time and space to be able to do that through meditation, through yoga, whatever and however we are able to connect with ourselves, to really go inside of ourselves and just to sit and to listen. That is so important. And sometimes you sit and you wait for a while. It takes practice. It does. It takes practice because we're so busy moving around, not being still, that, when we are still, we feel like we have to be doing something. No, sit here for a while. Nothing's happening. No, you literally have to just sit still for a while. And although it may feel uncomfortable at first to begin with, it's so important. I want to say that I find that it's important, yes, to find and carve out that space, create that space, that sacred space where you can sit with yourself, or again, connect with ourselves. That's everyone, period. Okay? That's everyone, period. Whether this is talking to you or not talking to you, in a sense of it being your challenge or your issue that you're currently experiencing or have been going through for some time. Okay? And so intuition, that's so important. And I'm going to tell you how it worked out for me. Okay? I had to, I was tired of the rat race. I was tired of just not being able to really sit with myself and, figure out like some of the experiences and the feelings and the emotions that I would feel and experience within myself, and constantly feeling that pain, constantly feeling that frustration, constantly feeling that emptiness and that persuasive energy to do something, or to be doing something, or to be in a different space. You feel as though you're supposed to be There's so much more to you. And there's so much more to us. And whenever we feel that we can't sit still, we can't keep still, we want to go and, distract ourselves doing something that's just to be able to, I guess, suppress that feeling or that emotion, because simply we're not used to dealing with it, or knowing how to deal with it, or knowing how to approach, these feelings and emotions and things like that. Of course, we've never been taught, for many of us. One of the things that I love about homeschooling, because we have the opportunity to explore those areas that are so important. Okay. We'll just get straight into the next part. So yeah, carving out space and time now, and finding that balance. I would always encourage people to really become, more independent, in whether that be, having their own business or, things of that nature, simply because it allows us to have more flexibility. But at the same time, this is not impossible when you do have a job either, because it's about what's important to you, and is where you are currently in your life moving you closer to where you want to be, or what you desire for yourself. Because one thing that I know when it comes to manifestation is that we have to really truly focus on what it is that we truly want. We have really got to be aligned and be living a life that is cohesive to whatever it is that we desire for ourselves. When I say that, I simply mean, for example, trying to bring a child into the world, trying to conceive, and coming this far and have struggled. There's many things. There's many things, and I'm always going to take it back to going back to our intuition, because when you have a level of understanding within ourselves, it's easier, or it makes it easier for us to really listen and to understand and to gain clarity as to what the next steps may be, or to even have an understanding and listen in as to, where we are currently in our journey, and, moving forward. Okay. And so with that, I would say, it's not impossible to create that space. Again, it goes back to creating that sacred space, okay? Creating a sacred space to be able to listen in to our higher selves, but also creating that sacred space to then affirm what it is that we desire for ourselves, okay, that we desire for our lives. And I'm simply just talking about affirmations. So for many, I'm sure if you've gone through this situation for a period of time, a long period of time, a few years, maybe, however long you discovered that there might be a problem, it's important to recognize now that there is a pattern, a pattern that you may have created within yourselves. So every time when it may not happen, or even if it does happen, and then you have every time when you do get to that point where you think you're about to conceive, or where you think that you may have conceived, or you think that, or you have conceived, but then now it's the journey of carrying that child full term. There's something in that moment, although I feel as though many have that challenge as it relates to the mental and the psychological mindset at that time. And one thing that I've learned in my journey is that every thought, that's my cat, every thought creates a chemical reaction, and that filters in through our cells, will then react and respond and create that reality within us. So that's why I say affirmations is important, because it's like you are retraining your mind, retraining your thought pattern. Okay. As and when you may receive those negative thought patterns at that particular time. And it's a process. So that's when I say that it's important to create that sacred space, because that sacred space will not only allow you to get in tune with yourself and to listen to your higher self and listen to the guidance that is being given to you, but it also will allow you to change some things that you are doing in the process or through the process that is also or may be creating that imbalance chemical reaction. So it's important to create that space, because now you're in the journey to healing. Okay. This is all a part of the process. You have to create that space. And you have to know what is important to you. And you have to affirm it. You have to speak it into your life daily if you have to. I recently, I found a channel that speaks of, I recently learned that, when we affirm things, and the more often that we can do it, the more often we can actually see the changes that begin to happen, even on a small scale, even if it doesn't seem, we can't see the bigger picture, or we can't see exactly what it is that we want. We can see things shifting and changing to create it. This is where, where magic's happening, but you have to be aware of it. You have to be open to it. So every stage of the process, it doesn't matter where you are. Just look at your life as to where you was a couple of months ago, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. Are you in the same space? Because sometimes, again, when we're so consumed by our, current situation or wherever we are in our journey, it's hard to see the main picture, that we've created for ourselves. And in that time, it's like we lose focus. We forget to remind ourselves where we are. We forget to be grateful. That's very important. Something that I've also learned on my journey. Just in generally speaking, just to have gratitude for where we are, that is so important. Okay. And so, balance is so important. You got to figure out what's important to you, and you've got to be able to create the space to do that. And it's important that we keep our vibration and our energy as positive and as high as possible, and focus on that. That's also going to be a requirement, because as I mentioned in my previous video, where the house in which our children are coming into, is it going to be a safe environment? Is it going to be a nurturing environment to carry that child right up until it is time for that child to come into this world? You feel what I'm saying? So hopefully I'm making sense here. Yeah. So just moving into alignment, putting ourselves at ease. That also is, are we where we're supposed to be. Because if we're doing something that we're not supposed to be doing, but we're only doing it for reasons other than because it aligns with who we are, it aligns with our purpose, it aligns with, our journey at this point in time, does it? You have to ask yourself. And if it does, that's perfectly fine. But then also, are you creating the balance? Because again, what are you trying to manifest? If you are trying to conceive, you also have to balance and create the time and the space for that also. You have to. It's important. You know what I mean? And anything that's limiting you and putting you in a space that doesn't allow you to be of a high vibration and positive thinking, it's important that we release that. It really is. Because it then contributes anything that keeps us in a negative space, negative headspace, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You really have to release that. Again, going back to sacred space, going back to our intuition, listening in and listening to our higher selves. What is it that we need? What do we require? Is this space good for me? Are these people good for me? Is this helping me to get to the space where I need to be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, in order for me to now create this new reality for myself? What are we thinking about? Are we, again, communicating with our higher selves? Like, what do we need? Are we surrounding ourselves with love? Are we surrounding ourselves with that energy? You know what I mean? What are we saying to ourselves? So it's important, that we think about what are we affirming in our lives. And I did say that, I did speak on that in the previous video as well. So one last thing that I want to touch on, again, is, and this is just overall, is self-love, self-care. And one of the things that you can do is yoni steaming and getting back into just, really taking care of our physical being as well as our mental and emotional and spiritual. Because it's important on this journey, and what we want to create, the reality we want to create for ourselves. If we are wanting to conceive and bring a child into this world, it's important that we focus on these areas. It's important that we focus in on ourselves. And I'll leave it with this. I personally have witnessed people have gone through this type of experience. Some people have lost, had many miscarriages. And then they were able to conceive and bring a child into the world. But they took the initiative to really zone in and focus in on what it is that they needed to do for themselves to make this happen. So yes, they know that they had to provide for themselves and take care of themselves. But they know what they wanted, and they really zoned in, like really focused in on making it happen, from really focusing on their health to focusing on, just where they needed to be to get the right support. That's another thing, and again, that goes back to, the relationships and our support system and things like that. So I hope, let me see if there's anything else I've missed on here. Yeah, so one last thing, I'm just like, listen, as women, we're able to do so much. We just don't know the power that is within us and the power that is of the Creator. You know what I mean? And so, and that can go for any type of situation. It's so important to know. And Jah will never leave us. And all it is that we have to do is really take the time to really connect with our higher selves, connect with the Most High. You know what I mean? And by all means, do what is important for you to do that comes to you. And I'm here if anyone wants to reach out and, perhaps get a consultation or anything. They want to send me a message or anything like that. I will put my details in the description box. And so don't be afraid to reach out. I'm here to support you guys. So thank you for listening, and stay blessed, stay up.